Donald Trump has a series of platform proposals that I guess he is putting under the blanket umbrella branding of Agenda 47, meaning he will be the 47th president of the United States. And part of Agenda 47 is the American Academy. So Donald Trump is actually yeah, right, exactly.
We already know what their school fighting song is going to be.
Exactly. But who knew Donald Trump would come out for free college, socialism of a kind. This is really what we call national socialism. So let's take a look at Donald Trump's pitch.
Gosh, the Nazis were socialists after all.
Exactly. Yeah, well, this is government-funded, free online school, and Trump will lay out what he means by the American Academy and what we can expect should he be elected.
In recent weeks, Americans have been horrified to see students and faculty at Harvard and other once respected universities expressing support for the savages and jihadists who attacked Israel. We spend more money on higher education than any other country, and yet they're turning our students into communists and terrorists and sympathizers. Many different dimensions. We can't let this happen. It's time to offer something dramatically different.
Turning them into influencers,
today, we will
maybe.
take the billions and billions of dollars that we will collect by taxing, fining, and suing excessively large private university endowments. And we will then use that money to endow a new institution called the American Academy. Its mission will be to make a truly world-class education available to every American, free of charge, and do it without adding a single dime to the federal debt.
See, now, if this weren't being overseen by such a fascist, this would actually not be a bad idea. Like, I'm actually for taxing, fining, and suing predatory for-profit universities and putting that money into a free online college for everybody to go to whenever they want to get as many credits and as many degrees as they want. This is the thing about National Socialism. Like, this is how the Nazis came to power, right? I mean, it is National Socialism, right? It does strike some people as a good deal temporarily, and then you realize, obviously, the rules, right? The asterisks here are where it gets quite terrifying. And yes, this is absolutely fascistic in nature, as you can see what the rules he lays out for in just a moment.
Yeah, that's really the problem. Whatever problems we have with his post-candidacy career aside, if Bernie Sanders had announced this in either of his campaigns, we would have been cheering it on. Like, the principle of it is a very good idea, although I will argue that there's, who is it? I think Peter Turchin, who recently wrote a book arguing that one of the symptoms of civilizational collapse that we're not examining is elite overproduction. That when you produce too many elites for the available elite positions, the elites start to agitate against the system, and that's when it really starts to collapse. And you could argue that this, if you want to look at it in that macro way, you could argue that what's happening between the Harvard kids and their establishment is a symptom of that. Certainly, Turchin would make that argument, that that's a big part of why there's this disconnect, because there's less and less in the system for them. There's less guaranteed security for them, so they're starting to be less invested in supporting it. But you could definitely argue this would accelerate that process if Turchin is right. I mean, what if everybody becomes an architect, right? I mean, how many do you need? Which he argues is kind of what's happening.
Sure, but I mean, obviously, if you open up a thing like this, students will choose fields of study based on what the market demands at a certain point. Like, if they realize, well, I can't get hired if I study this, maybe I'll study this. It's actually quite a good idea, aside from the fact that, well, he lays out the little asterisks here. There's a catch. I don't know if you saw that coming. With Donald Trump, there's usually some kind of catch, and he's going to get into that.
This institution will gather an entire universe of the highest quality educational content covering the full spectrum of human knowledge and skills and make that.
We've already contracted Rudy Giuliani to teach a seminar on election integrity. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be fantastic.
Ivanka's going to be teaching merchandising and marketing.
Exactly. Enrollment for those is almost full already, folks. Almost full. Got to sign up today.
Every American citizen online for free. Whether you want lectures or ancient histories or an introduction to financial accounting or training in a skilled trade, the goal will be to deliver it and get it done properly. Using study groups, mentors, industry partnerships, and the latest breakthrough in computing, this will be a truly top-tier education option for the people.
Sounds great.
It will be strictly non-political, and there will be no wokeness or jihadism allowed. None of that's going to be allowed.
Or jihadism.
The American Academy will compete directly with the existing and very costly four-year university system by granting students degree credentials that the U.S. government...
You know, he's such a stupid piece of shit. You know, the deep state is so after him, you think he would see through a lot of the fear-mongering around, like, terrorism. But no, he buys into that immediately, hook, line, and sinker, just absorbs all of it. You know, no wokeness, no jihadism, you know.
Where did he learn to do this weird emphasis on the second syllable? Like, that's not even a New York thing.
Right,
industry. Yeah. I watched when I was in college. They showed us a video of a production of Oedipus from like the 50s, right? And at the end, they're all screaming Oedipus. And in this whole chorus, this whole Greek chorus screaming Oedipus, you heard this one voice, Oedipus, Oedipus. And I turned to the guy next to me. I said, Shatner? Is that Shatner? And we look at the credits at the end. It's William Shatner. And, you know, I mentioned it to the teacher. I said, you could hear him in that Greek chorus. He was in the background in this production. He said, well, he was an old European professor. He said, well, why do you think he became famous? He made himself distinct. People noticed him. So I wonder, is this part of his marketing to just speak in a way that doesn't conform to how anybody else speaks? Is this part of how he makes himself stand out? Is he Shatnering the American public?
I don't know. I think it's a quirk. That's what I think. I think it's a personality quirk. Who knows? He has several of them.
There is no such accent that I'm aware of.
No, it's one of these idiosyncrasies, I think. I don't think he's doing it on purpose, no.
Federal contractors will henceforth recognize. The Academy will award the full and complete equivalent of a bachelor's degree. In addition, to help the 40 million Americans who have some college education but no degree, the American Academy will grant credit for past coursework at legacy institutions and give you the chance to complete your education at the American Academy for free and much more quickly than is now possible or available. This will be a revolution in higher education and will provide life-changing opportunities for tens of millions of our citizens. Enjoy it, learn from it, and thank you.
So there you have it. Of course, you know, he says it will be non-political, but no wokeness. That means it is going to be political. That's the problem with these things is that, you know, government changes hands from time to time. And in the right hands, this would be an amazing thing. In the wrong hands, this could be a terrifying thing. But it would be a real assault on these predatory for-profit higher education institutions, which would be great. They should be run out of business. Most of these private colleges should be run out. And so, you know, it's unfortunate that he's the one who pitched that. But, yeah, Donald Trump for free college now. Who'd have thought that?
Yeah, this is what I've been arguing all along when I've been speaking out on a lot of what he's addressing in his way. Yeah, a lot of these academics and university professors have abandoned Age of Enlightenment ideas about how to teach. And they're pushing a lot of ideas that I either don't agree with or don't agree with in the form that they're teaching them. And most people do not. However, by so much of the left not really looking under the hood with this stuff and advocating against it, as I've been arguing since we've had the show. We should be speaking out at a lot of the excesses in the academy. You're empowering people like Ron DeSantis. You're empowering people like Donald Trump. You have opened a door where, look, if he said something like this 30 years ago, 20 years ago, people would have laughed at it. What the fuck are you talking about? Now you have created an atmosphere where enough parents have had their kids come home from college and want to litigate their whiteness that this is going to sound like a good idea to more people than it certainly would have even 5 years ago. That is the result of the left not taking responsibility for people like D'Angelo, people like Kendi, and shutting them the fuck up before we empowered ideas like this. Now the chickens have come home to roost.
Yeah, I mean, that's the cultural component of it, too. But the other component of it is the economic component. Whereas if there's a free online college that everybody can go to and get the same credit, why would they run up $200,000 in debt and never be able to crawl back out?
Well, that's where it's a good idea. And hey, man, I mean, the conservatives use this for their own purposes, arguing they tried to disown the Nazis by saying, look, socialism is right there in the name. There were socialist elements to the Nazi platform. And this is a classic example. Yeah, like this is something socialism. Hitler might have done.
Of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. For real.
Please clap.